Going? Okay, so now we're back at the computer. Every computer is labeled by the telescope it goes with. So we're going to open a number of pieces of software here. So the first one you're going to find is MaxMDL, which is right here, this funny little blue and white thing. We're going to open that. And over here, this is going to bring up our control panel for the CCD camera. And up here, there's a little button that looks like a little, there's two that represent these two. There's a third one right beside it we're going to click on. And that will bring up our CCD control window. And what we're going to do now is we're going to connect to the camera by hitting connect. And then come down here where it says cooler on, and we're going to turn on the cooling system. And looking at that, let me bring this up where you can see it. Down below, you'll see a thing here that says cooling power, the sensor temperature, which is what the CCD is, and then the set point. So right now we're at minus 30 Celsius. The CCD is at about +5, and it's going to push down. As we get close, keep an eye on this one up here. If your power cooling gets up above 80% when you're close to the set temperature, it's probably not going to stay there. So you got to make sure you pay attention to this so you don't overload the system. So while the camera's cooling, we can come over here and find one that's called SkyX, so the big X on here. We're going to click on that, and that's going to bring up this software and play fun music. And now you will see a thing here. This is in the telescope setting, and it says not connected. But what we're going to do is go over here to setup or startup, click and go to connect to telescope. And so now it says I'm connected, but the telescope isn't homed. And so the telescope has a very specific position it goes to if I click yes. And once you do this, you want to kind of look out the window and make sure that the telescope's moving like you expect it to. So I'm going to click it, and you'll see it says finding home. And it's fine. You might be able to see it out there, I don't know. But it's going to go over to find its home position. And that's a very specific spot in the gears of the telescope. And so it's just going to go over there, and when it gets there and gets itself into the right position, it will say, I found home, and it should say tracking its sidereal rate under status. So that green finding home eventually should say tracking its sidereal rate, and then you know your telescope's ready to go for the night. Watching the CCD coming down here, we're at minus 13. Still not running too hard on the cooling power, so that should be right there. And if we go back over to the telescope control, you'll notice tracking at sidereal rate. So at this point, your telescope and your CCD are ready. The last piece of software we will open is CCD Autopilot, but we really don't have to do that now. We can do that as a separate video of how to set things up there. So let's go ahead and pause there.